Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's me, Tokenicer, and today we'll be doing our little introduction into Vectorspace AI, and we'll basically be talking about what they have to offer and just what they're up to. So yeah, let's get right into it.
All things stated in these videos should not be taken as financial advice and should only be viewed as educational content of Tokenizer's due diligence and opinions.
Alright, so in this video, we'll be going over what Vectorspace AI is, the use cases of their technology, the history and connections within the core team, and the partners and solutions that they formed, along with the overall utility and tokenomics of the VXV token. So yeah, let's get right into it, starting with use cases and what Vectorspace AI is. So Vectorspace AI works within, well, artificial intelligence AI, and specifically NLP and NLU, so natural language processing and natural language understanding. And basically what these are subtopics of machine learning, with NLP being the ability to process and understand basic text and, well, what was said, and NLU being the ability to understand context and intent behind what was said. So for example, if someone had gotten information that the number of Bitcoin wallets had doubled, NLP would understand that the amount of Bitcoin wallets went from maybe, let's say, 1 million to 2 million. The NLU would then take into account the context and intent of this data and likely take it as, say, good news for BTC, buy BTC. And so through the use of machine learning, Vectorspace AI has built data sets and are working around the motto of, if data is the new oil, then data sets are the refined gasolines that power every machine learning and AI. And basically what that means is that if data is the new oil in this digital revolution, well, data sets will be the refined gasoline that is to power the new age of tech with AI, just as refined gasoline has been used to power cars and airplanes. Now, further into data sets are pretty much augmented pieces of data that are combined to give data context. The team will be working within building these data sets to detect hidden relations within categories and events in real time. This will also allow the creation of thematic baskets of an infinite combination of events. The team has been already working and utilizing their data sets within biosciences and many financial institutions. Blockchain data provenance, which we'll be getting more into later, but basically a blockchain allows data integrity and point of origin to be as transparent as it can be. Their technology has also won multiple awards and patents. So now moving on, we're going to take an example of some of these data sets. So here we have a data set of other compounds and chemical compounds and medications. So here we have SARS-CoV-2, so COVID-19, ACE2, which is angiotensin converting enzymes. And basically what these are the receptors at what COVID-19 enters the body through. We also have interferon beta, which is an anti-inflammation medication and prevents nerve damage. And essentially, they are testing how these different compounds, viruses, genes, and proteins all react. Next, I've drawn up a little thematic basket example here of the metaverse. And pretty much what this example displays is some equities and cryptocurrencies that have relations to the metaverse, and pretty much some other news sources, and, well, some good, some bad news. So here we can see gathers real-time news and data, and then NLP and NLU reads and processes this data. Sentiments and relations can then be detected and build new hidden relations. Now moving on, we're going to be talking about this is a basic diagram of how customers will be required to hold a minimum amount of VXV within their wallets to access different tiers of data sets. So there's smart baskets, some bots, NLU, and on-demand datasets, all requiring different amounts of VXV. Well, varying amounts. Now, moving on, let's look at a couple examples of their datasets. So here we see 4 datasets and clusters built by Vectorspace AI, and how these datasets are currently working are through the input of context-based keywords, detecting a cluster of hidden relations within large groups. This also allows for information arbitrage with frequent updating, allowing users news before most of the herd can get it. And their technology is also catered towards both retail and institutions, meaning retail traders can also decide to get an edge on the market through acquiring one of these data sets. The VXV wallet is actually what allows for the API subscription to access these data sets, which we'll get further into later. So here we can see this data set is detecting hidden relations within elements and minerals between stocks and ETFs. And then here we've got a data set with no context. Here a data set with the context of blockchain. And here we've got a little cluster showing hidden relations of cryptocurrencies with hidden relations within their white papers. I'll be leaving links to these diagrams below just in case anyone is interested in checking them out. Now let's go on to the core team. So here we can see the core team of Vectorspace AI. So we've got the CTO Mike Muldoon, the CEO and founder Cation Franks, and the PhD and chief data scientist Raf Podowski. So we'll start with Mike, the chief technology officer. So Mike began working as a freelance software engineer before he decided to work within Luminant Worldwide as the lead tech software engineer. And what Luminant does is they provide tech services to Fortune 500 companies. And after a year at Luminant, Mike went on to Senzik, which provided application security for corporations for 2 years as a senior software engineer before he took on the role of vice president of engineering and CTO at SeekPod. And as we can see, all three of the core team had worked at SeekPod, and we'll be getting deeper into this later. After SeekPod, Mike then founded his own company, Inferno.net, and he served as CEO and founder. Inferno.net was a virtual tabletop which allowed players around the world to connect and play within role-playing games or just basic board games, which would otherwise be impossible to set up. He then worked another 3 years as a principal engineer at Akira Technologies, and Akira is a IT services firm. And then after 3 years at Akira, he went on to work at Nantomics as a senior software engineer for another 2 years. What Nantomic does is they work within biotech and molecular diagnosis products to create personalized cancer treatments. Now, moving on, we'll be talking about Cation Franks, the CEO and founder. I don't know why I typed co-founder, but Cation Franks is the sole founder of Vectorspace AI, and he began working as an internal product developer at Cisco, a Fortune 500 company, for a year before leaving and working at Oracle, one of the largest tech firms, also in 1996. Cation then went to work as a consultant at AstraZeneca for a bit less than a year before he settled down a little and worked at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, which we'll be talking a lot more on later. So remember that name. And then we've got SeekPod, which Cation was actually the founder and CEO of. We've then got Mimv, which was a search and discover recommendation engine for mobile content, so such as apps and products. And Cation was also the CEO and founder of that. On top of that, Cation is also currently a co-founder and chief securities officer of PieMovie, which is working on building an alternative currency within the music industry. Now we've got Raf Podowski, who is the PhD and chief data scientist of Vectorspace AI. And let's take a look at some of his history. So he was also working at AstraZeneca around the same time Cation was as a text mining consultant before moving to Oracle for 2 years as a senior product manager, and then another 3 years at SeekPod, a year as a technical specialist at Jacobs Engineering, which works within tech services and ESG. He then went to work 2 years as a bioinformatics system analyst at the Joint Genome Institute, which works with the US Department of Energy and is located at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. Raf then went to work at Biorad and still continues working there today as a data science lead. And Biorad basically is a global leader in life science development and manufacturing. Now, as we can see, all three of these guys had previously worked at SeekPod and held some pretty high positions, with Cajun being the founder. If we go here, we can see basically an explanation of why Vectorspace AI has decided to go the crypto route, because I'm sure we can agree this doesn't sound like your usual crypto project. So basically, we see their company SeekPod had an offer for 120 million, and then the economy crashed and they were being sued for $40 billion by Apple, Warner, and EMI. And well, obviously that caused some problems, and eventually Cajun and the team decided to shut that project down and move on. So eventually Cajun started a company called Mimvy, which got a deal done with Microsoft, which we'll be talking more about Microsoft later. And then if we keep looking, we can see more about SeekPod, and this is the part where they start digging into crypto and how NLP is being implemented into their solutions. They started a company called Starmine AI, and it doesn't seem like it was your traditional crypto project, as here it says our investor got spooked by how traceable everything is on the blockchain. So it's likely this was a traditional finance project attempting to utilize the technology within the crypto space. How this project is worded definitely sounds slightly similar to what Vectorspace AI is today, but it seems that the team has found the right market. Now, moving on, we'll be taking a look at partners of Vectorspace AI. Now, keep in mind there are several NDAs that they cannot mention as partners, as with many companies who are working with large entities. Some of these partnerships are nothing much more than full collaborations for case studies, but that can definitely change in the near future. So here we've got CERN, and CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. And if we click here, Vectorspace AI and CERN are working to create natural language processing datasets in particle physics with applications in artificial intelligence for every industry. And so pretty much we can see here particle physics. So used to predict hidden relations between particles, which will be very big within the world of sciences, and genomics, as our biotechnology is rapidly evolving within that subsector. Then we've also got life sciences here, which, as we saw earlier, Vectorspace AI is working with building COVID-19 related data sets in hopes to solve for a solution. And financial markets, we've got the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. This is actually where Vectorspace AI was first concepted by Cajun. The team has collaborated with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory to find some large discoveries and create multiple patents and awards. Microsoft, which Vectorspace AI is working to create data sets for along with their clients. And I should also mention a couple of these partnerships are nothing much more than being clients of Vectorspace AI's data sets. That can definitely change in the near future. Next up, we've got PubMed and the National Library of Medicine, which are both medical study organizations that are funded by the government. And Vectorspace AI basically uses the peer-reviewed papers from the National Library of Medicine as data they input into their data sets. And they are currently inputting about 1,500 peer-reviewed papers every 24 hours. So about 62 and a half papers an hour. We've then got Elastic, a search company that builds self-managed and software as a service. And this partnership with Vectorspace AI, showing how Vectorspace AI can generate alpha. For those of you who don't know what alpha is in terms of finance, it's pretty much alpha is whenever you're able to beat the market index. So if the expected return that year was 15%, well, anything 16 and above would be considered alpha. And so here we can see how these NLU data sets will be updated. And essentially, this partnership will be utilized to bring the adoption of these data sets to clients of Elastic. Looking at their partnership with S&P Global, New Data, and Bloomberg, these all, similar to Microsoft, utilize the data sets of Vectorspace AI, but it's possible we see more coming out of these partnerships in the future as they continue to work together. We've got Cloud Quant, which is a big tech and data company. They basically offer data to clients for research and analytics. And what this partnership will do is allow Vectorspace AI to utilize these data and analytics to build data sets with more information, while Cloud Quant offers Vectorspace Vectorspace AI's data sets to their clients. We've got Trustology, which here, if we take a look, is a crypto custodial wallet provider. And basically what this partnership will do is make it easier for clients to purchase and access Vectorspace AI and their data sets through the custody of Trustology. As we all know, the majority of people still don't really know how to utilize cryptocurrencies yet. And then we've got LCX here. And basically what this partnership is they are working to create smart and thematic baskets of cryptocurrencies to be traded within the LCX exchange, which is actually likely the most regulated exchange in all of crypto with over 8 licenses. And we'll be doing a video covering what LCX is in the near future. Now, if we go over here, we can see some of Vectorspace AI's other collaborations. We can see on the surface, they've got Cloud Quant, CERN, and Microsoft, which most people know about, but some lesser known collaborations they have are with Citadel, which is a large hedge fund, and they are actually clients of Cloud Quant. So it's very likely they could be utilizing Vectorspace AI's datasets through this partnership in the very near future. We've got Azure, which is a Microsoft company. It's Microsoft's cloud computing and now space company, who is actually also working with SpaceX, which Cajun has confirmed some sort of connections to. And well, if we look here on Azure, we can see they have open data sets with accelerated machine learning, which, while there's no confirmation, that does sound similar to what Vectorspace AI has to offer. So just a little bit of speculation for you guys. They've also got EDF Energy, which is working within ESG. And then here we've got the Department of Energy, which we talked about earlier, as RAF work at the Joint Genome Institute, which essentially works with the US Department of Energy. And then we've also got NASA and Navwar. All 4 of these, from Virgin Galactic to NASA to the Department of Energy to Navwar, are all actually working with this lady here, who is Mina Bissell, who is a PhD working at Lawrence Berkeley. And she is a very well-known researcher within the world of science with 380 publications and 9 patents to the 2016 E.B. Wilson Medal, which is the highest honor given to American cell biology studies, and also the 2020 Canada Gardner Award, and definitely has lots of experience and will be helping Vectorspace AI with further research. Look at some of their solutions and the progress they have. So here we can see Mina Bissell, PhD, and Vectorspace AI Advanced New Space Bioscience Division. And here we can basically see Vectorspace AI welcoming Mina to work as one of their scientists. And we can see here that Bissell Lab at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, under government contract number, not going to read that number, they're working along with the US Navy and Space Warfare Division. So that's pretty big. That's some federal demand for Vectorspace AI already. And then here we've got some other highlights of who they may be working with. And here we can see NASA's Human Research Roadmap, NASA Gene Labs, and Biospecimen Sharing Program. So if large private corporations such as NASA are considering Vectorspace AI, it's very likely in the future it becomes a very almost household name. And here we can see Vectorspace AI continues to maintain applications in the financial and cryptocurrency markets. As we can see, there's already diversity in the sectors that Vectorspace AI is disrupting. And looking here, we can see that Vectorspace AI, Microsoft, and Amazon are all working with creating repurposing data sets to combat COVID-19. And while there's not too much information on the partnerships with Amazon and Microsoft, it's possible we see more in the future be released. And here we've got Cloud Quant. And remember, Cloud Quant is a data provider to some of the largest hedge funds. And they're basically highlighting what this partnership has to offer with Vectorspace AI's 1,500 peer-reviewed scientific papers every 24 hours, and the ability to generate investment signals based on an unlimited amount of topics, themes, and events around the world, which can allow for the creation of thematic portfolios. And here we can see Cajun explaining that they'll be supplying Microsoft and Azure with some advanced biological NLU models for unsupervised learning via correlation matrix datasets. So if this means anything, well, it's a pretty big partnership and what they're doing for one of the largest tech companies in the world. Next up, we're going to go over tokenomics. There are a total supply of 50 million VXV tokens with a circulating supply of about 37.9 million at the moment. And let's go over some of the utilities of the VXV token, and that will be to generate, buy, and sell data sets, as these data sets can be purchased with either Bitcoin, Ethereum, Fiat, or VXV. Additionally, VXV will be bought back from the market by the team with 50% of the revenue from subscriptions. And each subscription is actually not based on your usual account with an email, but connected through an API from each user's VXV wallets. And each VXV wallet will actually be available to be traded as its own asset, as each wallet will have access to varying data sets of different tiers. And last but not least, data provenance is optimized through using a blockchain. The integrity and troubleshooting for the point of origin for each point of data is much more simple, as everything can be traced back due to blockchain technology. And here we can see Kasian basically talking about the basic tokenomics of VXV. So he's saying VXV is used to generate, access, buy, and sell data sets along with the VXV enabled API key. Most importantly, VXV connecting to data provenance while enabling machines to transact data sets and vectors with one another are the kind of tokenomics our customers pay us for. And we can now see how the VXV tokens are allocated. And this is a bit of an older diagram, so take it for what it is. But we can see the team actually owns about half the total supply with 25 million, another 3 million for employee compensations, 1 million from donations, another 10 million from capital raising, and 8 million of the circulating supply, with another final 2 million within bonuses, bounties, and rewards. And as I've said, this is a bit older of a diagram, as circulating supply is up at 38 million now, so about 30 million more than this diagram. We can see the revenue model and price tiers of Vectorspace AI. So there's 3 tiers to these data sets. There's the free one, which offers 1 free on-demand update and only allows access to assets within the New York Stock Exchange and only allows for featured data streams, whereas the second tier allows for 1,000 free on-demand updates while allowing for access to more financial markets such as the cryptocurrency markets and the NASDAQ and OTC markets. And now any data stream is allowed to be inputted along with custom features and what I'm guessing is customer support. And then we've got the final tier, which will be about $2,000 a month and offer 10,000 free on-demand updates with the ability to create data sets within any asset class and all the other features that tier 2 had. And now looking at a sample of their revenue model, we can see they would actually make a lot more money within the cryptocurrency markets just due to the frequency of updates and the lack of downtime within this new market. But moving on, we can see so the pricing of their data sets and basically how the process will work. So we can see there are hundreds of billions of data sets available, and it'll be 99 cents per data source, 99 cents per row, 99 cents per column, and 99 cents per context control, and then another 99 cents per update. And so here we can see sources of data being selected. So we've got encyclopedias, published papers, emerging texts, cryptocurrencies, foods, all that stuff. And then we've got rows of what appears to be different financial markets. So we've got the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, OTC, ETFs, and then the other column to detect hidden relations, and then context control. So it can be a topic, a concept, or a trend, or maybe even an event. And now let's take a quick look at scarcity fee of the VXV token, we can see here that with a total supply of 50 million, we're just a little over double of BTC's scarce 21 million, and we're also about another 30% more scarce than Litecoin is at 84 million, more scarce than Ethereum's 120 million. And so if we add into the fact that the team will be doing buybacks to acquire as much VXV as possible, well, the supply starts to look real scarce, and a future supply shock is definitely a possibility. So if we look at the potential future price of VXV given certain market cap sizes, we can see that at about a $25 billion market cap, they'll be worth about $677. At about a $40 billion market cap, they'll be worth about $1,078. At a $50 billion market cap, they'll be worth 1.3 thousand. 105 billion, they'll be worth about 2.76 thousand per VXV. And then if we go up to 552 billion, it'll be about 14,500 per VXV. And at 1.1 trillion, it'll be about 28.6 thousand per VXV. Now, with what Vectorspace is doing in creating data sets through machine learning, I think their technology can definitely be valued at much higher than where it is today at roughly, I think, 500 million or so at the moment, as large science and financial institutions begin to take notice and utilize the data sets they have. I think Vectorspace AI going from anywhere to 50 billion to 200 billion market cap within the next 5 to 10 years is definitely a possibility. Now, moving on to our final little overview, we'll just be summarizing what Vectorspace AI is and just a little review. Starting off, Vectorspace AI is primarily working within larger financial and scientific analytic firms, but also cater their technology towards retail traders or people who just like to keep up with statistics. So their technology has multiple patents. Well, their team has actually founded multiple patents and multiple awards. They've got the first mover advantage as there's no other firm within either legacy or crypto that is working in building data sets with the power of machine learning, as far as I know. They are definitely providing a real solution as they're working within life sciences to find solutions for diseases. Their data sets are being utilized through multiple sectors from, as we've mentioned, life and biosciences to soon even space biosciences and finance. They have some very strong collaborations and NDA partnerships. There is definitely real demand for their technology, and especially with computational biosciences growing in the near future, it's likely the demand just continues to grow. They definitely have a very knowledgeable team from computer sciences to real life sciences, and with the addition of Mina Bissell helping with some of the research, they have a very knowledgeable team within sciences of all subsectors. There is definitely utility and demand for the VXV token, as the VXV token and wallet will be required to access these data sets, and there will also be a value placed on many of these wallets, as these wallets, as stated before, will be tradable as an asset. Now, over onto the rating for Vectorspace AI. So as a project, I would have to give them a 10 out of 10, as what they're doing is very unique. No other company is doing anything close to this, aside from Palantir and Snowflake, if you want to count working within building smart data, I guess. Token rating, I'd have to give a 8.5 out of 10, as there is definitely very strong utility for the token and an innovative idea of a wallet of these tokens being utilized as its own asset. Only downside I'd have to give is I can't really call it a downside, as this isn't your usual crypto project where tokens should be evenly dispersed amongst the market. And team rating, I'd have to give a 9.5 out of 10, as we've stated before, everyone on this team is pretty much a genius, either in sciences or in software engineering. And for progress, I'd have to give a 8 out of 10, as while they have made some very high level connections and strong partnerships, some of these partnerships just don't seem to have enough information or evidence to make much out of them. And while Kasian has quoted that many of these partnerships are under NDA, and some of these partnerships being just collaborations, it'd be nice to read a little bit more into these partnerships, but nonetheless, they're doing some great work. And let's quickly go over the total addressable market for Vectorspace AI. So geonomics, which we've already covered, as Vectorspace AI can allow for computational genomic research, which essentially means we don't have to use rats and monkeys as test subjects anymore. Within finance, which we've also talked about, as many hedge funds and financial institutions will look to Vectorspace AI to get an edge on the market through either informational arbitrage or smart thematic baskets. Within sports, where if you guys think about it, athletes actually generate an insane amount of data every day through either tracking and analyzing how they're performing in games or in practice. They can analyze every little feature and part of the game that may have a minute hidden relation that could have never been detected through the human eye. We've got atomic studies and space biosciences, which, I mean, Europeans Organization for Nuclear Research is already working with them. And then we've got the entertainment industry, which Kasian actually has some experience working with, along with the rest of the core team who worked at CPod. But the entertainment industry also provides a fair amount of data through the amount of consumers of entertainment every day and the content of which data they consume. We've got e-commerce and shopping in general, which again, insane amounts of data, as there are likely billions of items being bought online every single day, which generate basic data of customers around the world. We've got schools and academias which can utilize these data sets to further learn how machine technology can be utilized and how smart machine learning tech will impact our future. And then we've also got basic robotics, which this one should be fairly obvious, as what Vectorspace AI is currently building is similar to a human robotic mind. So it's possible that in the future, Vectorspace AI does work to maybe create smart robots. And so, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for our little introduction to Vectorspace AI. I hope you guys enjoyed it and consider leaving a like and subscribing. Our next video will likely be on Alliance block, and that should be out sometimes for you guys next week. So, yeah, thanks for watching again. I'm Tokenicer. Peace out.